Bella Salon and Day Spa, located at 41 West Main Street in Northeast Pennsylvania, proudly supports Chautauqua Sunrise and its volunteers. More information at bellasalonanddayspa.net. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise, and welcome to the 1,000th, that's hard to say at 9 o'clock in the morning, live. We're finishing up the show again. I see. Jeff, fix that. The 1,000th live Saturday morning program here at Access 5. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than just the Senior Report that ran. It's the fact that we've had live programming here at Access 5 at the entire studio. And I was trying to figure out how many years. That's like 20 years of live programming, Saturday mornings, year in, year out. I owe a great debt of gratitude to Reed Powers, our leader for so many years, and we always had this thing amongst all of us that we were trying to get the Senior Report to 1,000 shows, and as you all know, Reed passed away this past May, and we carried the torch for a while, and then we did a facelift to the show, and the spin-off was Chautauqua Sunrise. But if you take 965 Senior Reports and 35, where do I keep going? I'm fading here. 35 shows of Chautauqua Sunrise. You put it together and you got 1,000 live shows from Saturday morning to Saturday morning. And we're just so happy to be here. People say, why in the world do you do this? It's fun. It's informative, and we find it important to share the information to all of you, and that's what we're all about here at Chautauqua Sunrise. So anyways, welcome to our 1,000th show. The Saturday Night Live just turned 40. We're 1,000. All these MASH was 10 years. So after you start to see some of these numbers, there's a lot of history to these things, and there's a lot of history to the show. If you go back into the archives, there's been congressmen on here, state senators. We've had all folks from various levels of government and so forth, and every agency you can imagine. We've had animals on the show. I've done Tai Chi. We've been fumigated with Reed's leeks from the woods, and just all kinds of fun things here. And so we're just so happy to continue the tradition of Saturday morning programming, and we hope to go for a whole long time too. So we'll see about all that. Right now I want to cut away to a special guest who just happened to show up. A good friend and a founding member of this studio, Devin Taylor, and I want to welcome you to the show, Devin.
Thanks, Doc.
And tell us a little bit about the history of the show, or not the show, we know the history of the show, but the studio, and what was your role here?
Well, I got involved when we were talking about getting a cable access program going. Doug Spalding, he was involved earlier on and got going and got things going. And I was interested in doing historical productions, And of course, Chuck Kelsey, who's vital to the genesis of the station here.
No doubt.
And a very old friend of mine. He kind of talked me into.
I know how that is. Re-talked me into it, and look at where I am.
Yeah, well, yeah. But, then we got the first studio. Chuck and I did a lot of the building on it. That was in the old railroad depot down by the lake, and that's where the very first show with Reed Powers took place down there. It was something else. The studio worked, but we used headphones. There were mics. Reed was pretty excited. He could get worked up about things.
You're
but
kind.
Yeah, he was
a wild man.
He was a wild man, but generous and just a wonderful guy. And he knew an awful lot of things. And he had his opinions, and he was quite willing to share them.
I noticed that from time to time.
Yeah. And we had, a lot of things. The studio down there in the wintertime, we had snowmobiles going by, so you had to deal with the noise with that. And you were talking about animals. Reed used to have every Groundhog's Day Dunkirk Dave or Crystal on, and one time Crystal relieved herself on Reed's desk on the air, and a lot of things like that. And Reed just dealt with it like no problem. So it was a good time, and we really miss Reed. But you are doing a great job, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, and I have one question for you, Devin. I was down at the studio. Reed talked me into coming on the show back when it was at the railroad station. Was that egg cartons on the wall?
Yes, that was egg cartons on the wall. We had problems with it being a little echoey down there, and that was a solution Chuck came up with, and we put egg cartons on the wall to deaden the sound.
That worked.
And it worked great. Now, here we had the same thing in this studio when we first did it, but there's sound panels and the curtains, and there's a lot of things that have made a difference. But egg curtains were free, and they worked. So.
Okay, Deb. Well, thanks for dropping by and celebrating our 1,000th show today. Folks, that's Devin Taylor, one of the founding members of the studio here at Access 5, and we're so glad that you're here. Now, if you're watching the show live right now, February 28th, whatever time it is, a little after 9, you can still come down here to Academy Street in Mayville. Just come through follow the signs, because one of the doors is stuck, and you can come through the side door. And you can come in, you can sit in the engineering booth with Jeff Zook and watch the cameras and all the good things that go on here. You can come right into here with us, into the studio. Right now we have some chairs set up here. Oh, there's Chuck Kelsey, he just showed up. And so anyways, it's an open house today if you want to come in. And even after the show, we're still going to have folks that can come in here and tour if you don't want to be here for the live part, because people sometimes are a little skittish about coming on camera with us. So anyways, well, I got so much to talk about. I got all these kinds of notes, so I'm going to try to not forget too much, but whatever I forget, I'll get to next week. Well, first of all, I want to thank Vicki Wessling and Jim Subject for covering for me for the last 2 weeks. Barbara and I got away, as you know, I sent those fun tapes up here, got down in the southern tier of the country and out into Florida and California, and it was almost the same temperatures as here. It was just, I don't know, like 70 degrees difference, that was all. And just had a great time, and I'll be sharing some stuff with you as time goes by. So anyways, let's get started with some announcements, and because we've got a great show lined up for you today, as we always do. And so the first thing I think I got is I want to talk to you about something very important. And Terri, you got to go to this. You got to get Craig to go with you too on this. This is a special training from the community child advocacy program. Janet McDermott was here not long ago. We have this special training, and this will be the last time I'll be announcing it, because it'll be this Wednesday from 6 to 8:30 at the Westfield YWCA, and it's going to be about helping and children that are abused and helping to all of us to learn about what we can do to prevent child abuse. It's our job, folks. If you're a grandparent, a neighbor, an aunt, uncle, parent, whatever, these kids are getting hurt. They're being broken in some cases, and this is nothing to put the bushel basket over, close the curtain, shut the door. This is something that's happening here in Chautauqua County. And I run into people since we started announcing this, and they say, yes, we need to do this. People see this especially with children that are a little shy and they start to open up. But we need to know what are the words to use. We need to know who to talk to, who to send them to, how to refer them, and so forth. The training is $10. That's all. $10, and that covers the book. There's going to be refreshments. Our Rotary Club, the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, is sponsoring this. So all it's going to be is 2 hours of your time and $10, and we can safeguard the children of Chautauqua County. I encourage you to be there. I will be there. All right? This Wednesday, 6 to 8:30, YWCA in Westfield. Okay, number 2. The same organization, they wanted us to let you know, April 20, what does that say, 3 or 5? I can't ever see it from here. 25th, I got to write that down, is going to be a special fundraiser for the Child Advocacy Program, and yours truly will be the MC, and so it should be a lot of fun that night. It'll be at the Athenaeum at Chautauqua Institution, and we'll be talking more about it as that comes up. Moving right along, we've got something called Fundamentals of Red Wine, and that's on March 11th, and that's at the Grape Discovery Center. Now you might say, I've been talking a lot about the Grape Discovery Center. Well, yeah, I have, because it's right in our back door here, and we are encouraging folks to learn more about the things that happen right here in Chautauqua County, things that are right down the road. So that's Wednesday, that's 2 weeks from now, March 11th, from 7 to 9, and you learn all about wine tasting and that sort of thing. Okay? So, going right along, what else we got? Cash for Cans and Bottles collection for our friends at the Northern Chautauqua Canine Rescue, and that's on Saturday the 21st. And it looks like they're going to be collecting these items, and you'd be surprised you can raise a few $100s in just a short period of time. So check that out. And then one more photo I've got here. I mentioned this a while back, but our good friend Dan Smith at the Westfield Mayville Rotary Club has been very instrumental in working with youth in our area. This lovely young lady is Morgan Bennett, and she received a $5,000 district grant. This is a big time. This was highly competitive, and Morgan won this Rotary scholarship. I say grant, but scholarship amongst many, many folks from the area, and so we're very proud of Morgan Bennett. She's from Brockton, New York. So well done, Dan, for helping her out. That's Pete Bills, the president of our club at the moment. So I wanted to share that photo with you. A couple other quick things coming up. Oh, we got one more. All right, what is this? Oh, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but coming up on Saturday, April 4th, we have the Easter Carnival at the Children's Safety Education Village. So we'll come back to that. Terry, if you want to bring that up later, we'll do that. Okay, a couple other quick things. This is from the Westfield Memorial Hospital Auxiliary, and that's coming up this Tuesday, just a few days from now, from 5 to 7 at the Presbyterian Church in Westfield on South Portage Street. There is a super supper, and it's tickets are $7 for adults, $3 for children, $20 for a family, and the food is usually like beyond belief. The soups and the things they provide are outstanding. If you want to support a great organization, which helps an even greater organization, Westfield Memorial Hospital, check that out. Soup Supper this Tuesday, March 3rd from 5 to 7, right at the Presbyterian Church. Then, getting back to our friends at the Grape Discovery Center, unfortunately, this runs at the same time, so maybe one person goes to the Stewards of Children training and the other one goes to the Volunteer Recruitment and Orientation meeting, March 4th from 6 to 7:30. It's the same time at the Grape Discovery Center. They're looking for folks to volunteer there, help explain the various exhibits there and so forth, and help out throughout the year. I've volunteered a little bit there. I've done some writing for them, and it's a great program, and it's educational, not only for children but adults. And if you haven't been to the Grape Discovery Center right there on 20 in Westfield. It's a great organization and a great place to visit. And if you have nothing to do on a Sunday or Saturday or any day of the week, check it out. So again, they're looking for volunteers. They're going to have a meeting for recruits and orientation March 4th from 6 to 7:30 evening. Okay. Whew. I think I've covered everything that I want to talk about. And so let's take a cutaway to a public service announcement, and then we're going to get right to our show. Stay tuned.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Hey, and we're back. You know, we were just out in San Diego, as you know, and they have a high dry warning on for their forests and woods and so forth. So I'm sitting here watching Smokey there, and that was reality out there. And right here in Chautauqua County, I know last year we had a ban on burning and that sort of thing. So let's all be aware of those kinds of things. So Jeff, thanks for that public service announcement. Okay, let's get into the heart of the matter here. I got a good friend that's sitting here to my side that's waiting to get on here, but I got to frame the show a little bit. It must have been about 18 years ago, just about the second year of Saturday morning program, and my boss, Skip Mino, who was the district superintendent of BOCES, shows up with a fellow you might know. His name's Joe DeRossi, and they're walking around the campus over at the Hughes Center. I was the regional administrator at the time, and they're walking around like, what are they doing out and walking around in the fields and stuff? So they called me out and they said, we're thinking about working with Joe here and his organization that's coming up with some ideas about having a little safety village. And I go, huh? And yeah, we're thinking about putting it maybe out in the woods or up on the hill or, whatever. Well, long story short, somehow I ended up representing Skip at all these meetings that went on forever down at the Celeron Legion Hall, and all the folks down there that were huge supporters of this concept. I'm not going to go into all the history of that right now, but this goes back a long ways. And long story short, I picked the site, which was on a flat, grassy area, not way back in the woods. That would have been a nightmare. But anyways, here we are, 18 years later, and I would like to introduce to you the executive director of the Children's Safety Village, Terri Kindberg. Good morning.
Hi, Doc. Thanks for having me.
So, that was my little story, that how I got involved with the Safety Village. So, how did you get involved?
Well, I started about 8 years ago,
Okay.
and I was a nurse at Jamestown Pediatrics. And Dr. Tom's wife, Kay Toms, was on the board for the Safety Village. And we actually put together a live auction for juvenile diabetes cause. And Kay and I ended up running the whole thing. We had it at the ice arena down in Jamestown, and it was very successful. I think we raised probably almost $15,000 that night. And from there, I slowly began to volunteer at the Safety Village, which at the time was nothing more than a few buildings and some poured concrete and streets and so forth. But probably over the course of 9 months, I slowly became the coordinator of the village and later the director.
What were you thinking?
I have no idea.
It's a contagious project, because once you get a taste of what's going on there, you can't help but get involved. And I know that Rob Holcomb was the coordinator before you, and I worked on one of the metal buildings there one summer, and we cooked ourselves almost to death working on those things. So there's been a lot of sweat equity from just all kinds of folks, hundreds of volunteers in that.
Right.
Before we go any further, I just want to welcome one of our big fans of the show here, Mike Felsman, in the audience today. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning.
And we got Craig Merchant that's been coming and going, and I saw Chuck Kelsey and Devin Taylor. And once again, this is a live show, Saturday morning, Chautauqua Sunrise, but you can come down here. We have an open house, and you can join us. Back to you, Terry. Now, the question I have for you right off the bat. People are watching this show throughout the week and all over the world because this goes on YouTube. What is a Children's Safety Education Village, and what's it for?
Well, the purpose of it is to provide hands-on training for children throughout the community. Our main 3 classes that we teach are fire safety, traffic safety, and bicycle safety. And our classes start as early as pre-K and go through 6th grade. So a typical day at the Safety Village would include a bus arriving about 9:15 in the morning, and we have children. We can take up to 60 at a time. And once the children arrive, we separate them into 2 classrooms, and depending on their age, they'll receive probably traffic safety and fire safety, and each grade level expounds on the year before. So it
builds.
Correct.
Okay, right. Why do it?
Well, I think that children get some of this training in the classrooms, in schools, but when they see it and hear it, it's one thing, but when they get to experience it, it's a whole different ballgame.
Right, New York State requires that there be some safety and fire education in the schools, and of course, all schools are equipped to do that.
Correct.
Wrong. It usually amounts to, you know, a little coloring book, and I'm not trying to be facetious here, because schools aren't equipped to teach safety at the level that you are. So let me kind of portray what I used to remember. We would have like safety week. The firemen would show up in their equipment. The kids would look at the fire trucks. They might come in and talk a little bit about, you know, what to do in the event of a fire. They get a little coloring book. And I wasn't kidding about that. They get a little something like that. They get a little hat to wear, and then we forget about it for the other 51 weeks of the year. What makes what you do different?
Well, we take it a step further, and we work right along with the firemen. We appreciate the firemen in our
Absolutely.
county.
And I'm glad. I suspect they're glad that you're there too.
Yes,
Firemen,
I think so.
They're not always prepared to teach the little 6-year-olds.
Right, and we love it when they come with the class from their area and help us out with the class. But I think that, well, the fire classroom, for example, the kids come in and they sit in front of Sparky's Hazard House. And what it is a dissected home, and you see a kitchen and a living
This
room.
is a model of a house? Small
Correct.
model? Okay.
Correct. So the kids watch a full escape plan, and Kathy does a little scenario where a little boy is playing with matches in the basement, and Dad, who's supposed to be watching him, is falling asleep in his chair in front of the TV, and Mom is upstairs sick in bed, and so forth. And the waste can that he throws the match in catches on fire.
Okay.
And the hazard house actually shows smoke that comes up.
Oh, wow. That must
and
be-
how it travels
that must get their
up
attention,
through the
I would
building.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So we talk about smoke and how smoke rises and how the clear air is low to the ground. And we talk about an escape plan and the importance of having a meeting place. And so once the kids see and hear that, then we put them through a full escape plan. And we have a little tree that is in the corner of our classroom, and we talk about that being our meeting place for the Safety Village. And at the end of our building, we have a mock home that's much like a small apartment. Has a full kitchen and a bedroom, and we line the kids up and we take them all into this kitchen area where Kathy goes through a little
All right,
quick
who's
scenario.
Kathy? You mentioned Kathy's name twice. Who's Kathy?
Kathy Abate is one of our instructors at the
Okay.
Safety Village.
All right.
She's been there since day one with me. I'm sure the teachers and kids would recognize her.
Okay.
She does a fantastic job.
Okay.
But Kathy takes them all into the kitchen, and depending on what age is there, in the classroom, we talk about things that are pertinent to those kids. For example, preschoolers, we'll talk about putting a knife in a toaster to get their bagel out.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Or electrical cords too close to the water. You know, things, that they're apt to do and not have any idea.
And,
that it could
and I would
cause harm.
suspect that an everyday teacher might think about those things to tell the kids, but it's not in a curriculum. It's not written down to go through that. So the
Right.
kids actually see this, and I think that makes a pretty good impression, I would think.
Right,
Okay.
right. So Kathy ends up going through a scenario where she's making macaroni and cheese for lunch, and we have our little stove there, and she turns around to talk to the kids, and she puts her pot holder close to the burner, and it catches on fire. So we have simulated smoke that comes from behind the wall and comes out of the stove area, and of course all the kids get real excited and their eyes get big.
Do they panic?
Some do, yes. But we take them back to what we just talked about in the classroom, and we say, you need to remain calm. What did we just learn about? And we talk about the smoke, and we have them actually look at the smoke, and you can see it rising towards the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
And
That's science right at first hand. Huh?
exactly, and so we have them get down low below the smoke and look up at it, and they can actually visualize and see how it's rising and that the clear air is down low.
And so, and you read so many times that they find children in closets, or they went up on top of their bunk bed or whatever to get away from the fire, and they did everything wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So then what happens?
So then we have the entire group crawl on their hands and knees into the bedroom area, and we close the door behind them, and we talk about the smoke coming into the room, and we look around the room and find a robe that we put underneath the doorway to prevent the smoke from coming in. And then we say, what is the next quickest way to be able to get out of the room? And they all want to go to the other door that's on the other side of the room. And the Safety Village...
That would seem logical.
Right. The Safety Village has a custom-made door that heats up to about 106 degrees.
What?
So we have them go over and feel the door with the back of their hand.
So they experience smoke.
Correct.
They experience a door that feels like it's on fire.
Correct.
Oh my! How do you? Nobody can duplicate that in a school.
Right.
That's unbelievable. So then what happens? So they touch the door. Now what?
Well,
They're
so
trapped.
then they know that they can't go out that direction. We don't want them to open that door at all. Then we go over to a bedroom window, and we talk about being able to unlock the window and push it up.
Wait a minute. This is all at the Safety Village. This apartment?
Yes.
And
Yep.
this is in a building.
It is.
Okay.
Yep, it's part of our classroom training area. So we say to some of the kids that are either too small to unlock it and raise the window, or possibly it's painted shut. And we say you can grab something like this. We have a little red baseball bat that is in the bedroom. We say it's okay to knock out the window and to grab something like this colorful pillowcase and wave it outside of the window.
Oh, I would never
because-
thought to do that.
Right, because there are firemen that'll be circling around the house looking for people.
Yeah. Hey, I'm up here.
Right. So then we have another window that's equipped with a ladder, an escape ladder, and it's one much like you would purchase at Lowe's or Home Depot. So it's real to life, exactly what you would have in your house or my house. And we have every one of the children come out the window and climb down that escape ladder.
You have kids climbing out a window, down a ladder.
Correct.
How scary is that for them?
It can be very scary, especially the little kids. That's quite a hike
But
down.
I would think if they've practiced there, and God forbid it happens, but if it does, they kind of know what to expect.
Exactly, and that's what our programs are all about.
Okay. Wow. All right. So how much is it? How much does it cost for this to happen? I mean, for kids to come through.
Per student, it's $5.
That's it. $5.
There's no cost for any of the teachers or adults that attend with.
Okay.
We would do it for free if we could.
If you could, how many children have come through the Safety Village now?
At this point, I think we're closing in on about 15,000 kids that have come through since
Excuse me.
2010.
Did you just say 15,000?
Yeah.
Are there that many children here?
Well, Yep.
I suppose year after year you got new first graders, new second graders.
Exactly.
15,000. Wow. Well, good for you. That. Have you had any feedback from kids or parents or teachers on anything?
We've honestly, knock on wood, we've had nothing but good feedback so far from the students, the parents that attend with the kids, and the teachers. And we also have a curriculum committee that has area teachers that have played a large role in putting that curriculum together.
Okay, hold that thought. I'm a little out of shape here going on vacation. I forgot to mention some things. You're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. You can contact us by calling in here at the studio if you have a question for our guest or myself. If you want to share a birthday, an anniversary, your organization's events, as you saw earlier, you can call us at 753-5225. You can Twitter us, you can email us, you can text us. I think you can send a pigeon, whatever works. Get that information to us. And while you were talking, I got a Twitter.
Great.
Yeah, I've been Twittered. It says, do all schools in the county participate, or just certain schools?
Well, it's open to all schools in Chautauqua County, and at some level, every school has participated.
Excuse me.
So, which were
Private schools, Amish schools. I'm not being facetious here. I mean, it's open to any.
it's
children.
open to any
So,
school.
As long as they
Yep.
can fund it and be there.
Yeah, we also have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts that come, and
Oh, yeah?
the curriculum that we teach there helps to meet their some of the badges that they get and so forth.
Okay, merit badges. Okay, sure. All right. So that's fire. So let me see if I got this right now. So the children come in what grade for fire?
We start as early as pre-K.
All right. So just little guys, and they're it's like corralling cats. So they're bouncing around and they're looking up around. So you're trying to get some of that information. So they sit in front of this little model of a house, and then you see this little house, and then you take them into a real situation and go through this version of a fire. How do the adults react to any of this? I mean, do they get a little panicky too? Because they don't know what's coming.
Correct. I think they do. I think they're pretty amazed at what happens there and what the kids get to experience, but more so, and this is our goal, is to have them realize that, you know, this happens in real life all the time, and you need to be prepared. And I know we've had several grandparents that have been along with the kids for the day, and they've said, oh my gosh, we have a second-story house and we don't have any way for the kids to get out when they're staying over for the weekend or something.
I know in previous discussions with you that there is a really sad story about just that. And are you prepared to share that with our viewers?
Yeah, I usually don't get through it very well, but yeah, definitely.
Well, I think let me frame it for everybody first, so you can get your composure here. This is a real life story that I know about, and I dealt with a family, and it's a real tearjerker. So be prepared, because this is reality. This was Chautauqua County a number of years ago, and but with the wintertime, fire stoves, plugged up vents, whatever. This can happen anywhere at any time. So tell us about the story.
So Penny Eckerd, and she's a huge advocate of the Safety Village, and she's been to many different speaking engagements with me. But probably about, I think it's 12 years ago now.
It's been a while.
Her four of her children went to stay with their grandparents in the Falconer-Levant area. Penny worked at Hamels at the time, and she was called to go in early in the morning. So rather than take the kids and get them up at 5 a.m., she had asked her in-laws if they could spend the night. Sure. And so they did, and they were going to get up and go to school the next day. And during the night, whatever was the fault, the wood stove caught on fire.
Right.
And Billy and his brother and a cousin were able to escape, but his two little sisters were still upstairs sleeping.
Oh, dear.
And he went back upstairs to try to rescue them, and in the meantime, the fire...
It was just too much.
Yeah. And so they perished in the fire. And it's it's a hard thing to think about, but Penny allows us to tell this story because she says, if we had something like this for my kids,
Had they known, right?
correct, they may have known what to do, and we always tell the kids, never go back inside. But Billy, we consider him our hero,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's Billy's bedroom at the Safety Village.
Oh, nice.
And so we have some of his things there, and we have pictures of the 3 kids on our shelf there. And
Can folks come and visit?
absolutely.
So they
Yeah.
can come in, like do a little tour, or maybe shadow a class when they're there and kind of.
Definitely.
So let's get this out early. How do they contact you?
Well, they can contact me by phone, and
The
that
number there is
716-499-8138.
8138. Okay.
And also by email, and that's tkindberg@hotmail.com.
Okay.
And we have a website, and it's childrensafetyvillage.com. We're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
So,
So you're like us. Okay. So sad story, but a real story, and it strengthens us as a group of people in our county to look at these situations and not just say, "Oh, that was a sad story," and do nothing about it, but to take positive action.
Right.
And I wish I had the strength that Penny has to be able to go out and share her story, but that's important, and we need to know these stories for our children.
Right.
Just like I mentioned earlier about the stewards for children, about child abuse and so forth. Our children are at the mercy of society, and whether it's a fire or some strange pervert, whatever the case is, we need to protect kids.
right.
All right, getting back to the Safety Village. You talked about fire safety. So what do the kids do after they've gone through this exercise with you? They've climbed out the window, they do whatever they're going to do, then what happens?
Well, in that particular situation on the fire safety side, once they've come out of the house, we take them back into the meeting place, and then we stage a 911 phone call that the
Oh.
kids get to hear. We play a little CD, and Kathy actually calls, 911 and has a conversation with them so that they can hear what kind of things are going to be asked, of them. And then we allow them to hear the phone call from the 911 dispatcher to the fire department.
Oh, wow.
And during that time, we have a volunteer fireman who comes into the room and gets into his full turnout gear. And originally, we had a fireman come into the room with all his gear on, and we quickly realized that it scared the life out of the kids.
It's like Darth Vader coming through the door.
So we learned that we needed to build the fireman, and so as he comes into the room, he goes into the fire department and he puts on all his gear. And as he's doing that, Kathy's talking about, what are the pants protecting and what is the helmet protecting. And then by the time he gets to the mask and the air, we know that it's just there to give him fresh air to breathe.
So they see things as from a functional point of view as opposed to a scary costume.
Correct.
Wow, that's huge. And I would suspect that makes children feel more comfortable and at ease if they do have to see a fireman show up, because there's a lot of gear they have.
Right,
Yeah.
and we teach them that firemen are our friends, they're our heroes, and that if you hear them calling out to you and you see them and they look like this, they're there to rescue you and help
Sure, well,
get you
imagine
out.
you're middle of the night and you're half asleep and you see somebody show up like that, that would probably scare anybody. Wow.
Correct.
Okay, so then the children do all this sort of thing. So what? What happens next? I mean, do they take this home with them? Do they talk about it at school? What happens next?
Well, our main goal is to get them to go home and talk to mom or dad or the adult that lives with them, and to put a meeting place in effect and to practice an escape plan.
Have you had any anecdotal stories about this working?
We have. We actually had a story of a little girl that came to the Safety Village when she was only 4 years old, and she was very attentive, and she took everything we said to heart. And that night she went home and she talked to her parents, and she kept bugging her dad about practicing an escape plan and getting a meeting place, and she was relentless with it till the point where the dad said, "Okay, Madeline, after supper we'll practice all this." And so he did that. He took the girls upstairs and he got underneath their bed and got out the escape ladder that was still in its original
Oh, my
packaging
gosh.
and still had the plastic on it, and they went through an escape plan. And little did they know it that a couple months later
No
they would
kidding.
be in an actual fire.
And they're all okay?
They're all okay.
Because they followed Madeline's plan.
Correct, right.
Oh, my gosh.
And many people might remember hearing that story. It involved the 2-year-old St. Bernard that
Yes.
woke the dad up.
Yes, yeah.
And so they're a great family. But they lost everything.
Oh, my gosh. But they still had themselves.
They still have themselves.
Okay. Hey, you're watching the show right now. Think about this. Just think about this for a minute. If you live in a 2-story building or more, I suppose you can use it for a ranch as well. I'm not going to say which one, but 2 stories or more, get over to the hardware store, get yourself one of those rope ladders, and open it up, practice with it, and make sure the windowsill will support it, I would suppose, and show your grandkids or the neighbor kids or your own children how to use it, because you just never know. What do you think?
Exactly.
What do those ladders cost? Can't like $20 or something like that?
Yeah, I'm sure under $30.
It's just basically some rope and chain or whatever, and some things just to help you get out.
Right.
Do they recommend them for ranches? I said ranches. I would think a ranch house, you just jump out the window. I mean, you're only talking about maybe 6-7 feet.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And if it's this time of year, it's 3 inches because snow's right up to the
exactly.
windows. But I like the idea of being prepared. We seem to become a nation where they are. We're constantly planning and preparing for terrible things, but it's all true. Okay, I just got Twitter on a couple things here, so let's see if I can tie it together. The first part of the question is, do you actively ask schools to participate, or do they just contact you? And do families that have children with disabilities require equipment that doesn't let them escape ladders and such? So is there what do you do with children that are in wheelchairs and that sort of thing? So.
Well, we talk about kids in wheelchairs. We've had some kids that actually do come in wheelchairs, and our whole facility is wheelchair accessible. And we've gone through some scenarios with what you do when they're in a wheelchair and you can't get them out, and about putting a blanket over them and so forth. So we try to make it as real to life as possible.
Okay, and I would suppose in many cases somebody maybe would have to carry that individual down.
Correct.
So yeah, but it's all about being prepared. And so if you have a situation like that at your home or facility or whatever, you get prepared in the event that. So you got to help. We talked a lot about fire, but you do a whole lot more than fire, right?
We do, yes. We also do traffic safety at the same time, and the kids learn about sign recognition and rules of the road and pedestrian crossing. We talk about railroad crossing. We actually have a train station as part of the facade of the safety village that has the flashing lights and so forth. And so once they learn about it in the classroom, then again we allow them to experience that, and that involves them going out into our village itself, and they get to ride in little cars.
All right, whoa. For fire safety, they're inside of a building, and it's all. Describe the village. I mean, I don't know if people even know where this thing is. People say, "Oh, there's something over there by the Bosie's thing." Well, where is it, and what's it look like?
Correct. Well, we're right in front of Bosie's. You
Hughes
can't
Center
miss us.
in Asheville.
Correct.
Okay,
Right on the
394.
sharp bend there.
Okay.
We're closest to the lake.
All right.
And there are 27 miniature buildings that help create the facade of a village. So we have streets and curbing, we have a 4-way stoplight, and we have little buildings that represent, many of them represent our area.
So like little businesses and...
Little businesses. We have a junior Jamestown Pediatrics, we have
Okay.
McDonald's and Tim Hortons.
Can you get a burger there?
Not exactly.
No. Okay, so these are just like fronts, like the Old West type thing, where, well, more than just the Old West, but I mean,
Right.
they're not the real businesses, they're just miniature versions?
Correct.
Okay.
But, in a bit, we'll talk about some of the events that happen at the Safety Village that include
Okay.
those business
Now, you
owners.
said they go about the village in bicycles?
Well, both bicycles and cars.
They get to drive things?
They get to drive actual electric-powered cars in the village. They're two-seater with seat belts.
Hold on. Kids, if you're watching this, bug your school, your parents, your teachers, your PTO. You gotta get down there. What grade level does the cars?
First grade, first and second graders
How
ride the
cool!
cars.
Well, I would have killed to be a first grader, be driving a little electric car.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that? Usually, oh man, I was really. I had trouble driving a bike when I was a kid. I would have really enjoyed that though. So,
Yeah.
all right, so they learn safety there and
Mm-hmm.
stoplights and what to do and.
Correct, and we talk about little kids being pedestrians and how we as adults get busy with our lives, and when we're driving, we're thinking about, getting Susie to piano lessons and putting dinner on and so forth, and that even though the kids have the right of way to cross the street, that you always need to have the eye contact of the driver, because we're thinking about a million other things.
Right.
So there's several things that are taught throughout their time out in the village itself. For the third and fourth graders, we jump to bicycle safety. And we have a whole variety of bikes there, and we teach them how to fit them properly and how to adjust the seat and how
Where
to
do you
check
keep
the
all this
brakes.
stuff?
Well, we have a garage facility there
Okay.
that houses both the bikes and the cars.
Holy mackerel! This is a pretty big site. Okay, so like a couple acres or something?
I think we're set on 5 acres.
No kidding. All right.
So, but we teach the kids proper helmet fitting. We have had hundreds of helmets donated by Real Estate Advantage.
Oh, nice.
And so we teach them how to fit them properly and the importance of wearing a helmet and so forth. And then they get to ride in the village, and they have potholes that they have to go around, and they have to, obey the same rules as a car.
Oh, and believe it or not, spring is coming, and those kids are going to get those bicycles out that they got for Christmas. And boy, it's good to know that you're teaching bike safety, because a lot of kids do get clipped by a car every once in a while.
Right.
Do you have any idea of any statistics in Chautauqua County of fire injury, bike, pedestrian, anything like that? I mean,
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because Joe Gerasi and I, we were just talking about that the other day, and about gathering those statistics and seeing how they look in Chautauqua County. So that's something that he's looking into currently.
okay. Jeff tells me he's got some pictures that he's going to flash up here for us. So what are we looking at here?
Well, you can see one of our instructors there with his helmet on, and then we have some of the kids driving the cars in the
There it
Safety
is.
Village.
That's right. And you got roads with lines and everything.
Oh, yes.
And curbing. Okay, what are we looking at here?
This is a picture of our mock kitchen, and you can see the smoke just above the kids and how they're down low to the ground, and they're just about to crawl into the bedroom area.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
what was that? Okay, where are we at here?
And that's our miniature schoolhouse there, and where
Miniature. These are pretty good sized buildings.
they are. They're either on a 16 by 18 size pad or a 12 by 24 foot.
So they would feel like they're in a real. Oh, there it is. They would feel like they're in a little town. So
Correct.
that's the aerial view.
Correct.
I'm guessing. Okay. Wow. So they can go. Anybody can go to this website, and there's all the different buildings. Okay. All right. I saw a church there somewhere. Wow, you got everything there.
Yeah.
So are you like the mayor?
No.
Joe's the mayor, maybe, huh?
Right.
Okay, take a breath. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guest today is Terri Kindberg, the Executive Director of the Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village. And if you want to give a call and ask Terri a question or a comment or share something, call us at 753-5225. We're live right now, Saturday morning, February 28th. Don't call us later in the week, because we will only... Oh, thank you. And if you have any questions that you want to follow up after the show, you can call Terri at 499-8138. So, let's get back to you now. I don't like to talk too much, but I need to do these things once in a while. So bike safety, fire safety, pedestrian safety. Anything else you do over there?
Well, the newest classes that we've added, I enjoy a lot because of my nursing background.
Okay.
So we now teach first aid.
Oh, I can see that would be right up your alley.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we've put together a program that's really neat for the kids. We set up 2 scenarios, one in the kitchen that we use for the fire training, and one in the bedroom. And it involves 2 victims that the kids happen upon. And we've created a scene where the person is unconscious, they have bleeding coming from their arm. The kids get to go in with their clipboard and they jot down everything that they're observing.
Wow.
First of all, they make sure that the scene is safe for them to enter, and then they're looking for different things. You know, is the patient talking? Are they breathing? Are they bleeding? One of the patients has a diabetic bracelet. So they
What grade level is this?
This is 4th through 6th
Okay,
grade.
so it's a little bit older kids, okay.
Correct. And so it's teaching them how to respond in an emergency situation. What is your initial thing that you're going to do? And what kind of things can you look around and use? For example, they're not going to have bandages right there, so a kitchen towel. One of the students will pick up the kitchen towel typically and put it on the bleeding wound and so forth. So we have teams that kind of try to collect all the information and share that with each other when we come back into the
So
classroom.
you work with small groups?
We do. There's probably 10 to 15 at the most.
Okay, so, because that's a lot of bodies working together, so. Is it difficult to do?
The training
training,
itself, I wouldn't say difficult. I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun,
So
and
the
it's
kids
fun.
they're vested in it, they're excited, they want to know more.
Absolutely.
And kids love this sort of thing.
They do, and you can really pick out the children who will go on to be nurses and doctors and EMTs, because they are the ones that seem to instinctively know exactly what to do, and they are ready to jump in and help.
Okay, we have some other pictures that they just told me that just popped up, so if you want to bring that up. Some about a fire truck. What is that?
Our train.
Your train? Okay, oh my God. Oh, what's that?
That's a miniature fire truck that sits in our fire station. It's one that was actually made by a fireman from the Kennedy Fire Department.
Oh, how cool is that? Okay, thanks guys for bringing those pictures up for us. Okay, we're running down about 7 minutes now, and wow, this show goes by really fast, and we've talked a lot about it stuff. Terri, one of the things that I'm sitting here in awe of is all of this stuff. Who pays for this? How does this all come about?
Yeah, good question. Well, we are a non-for-profit organization, so really we are supported through grant funding. We're always applying for grants. We do fundraisers all year long, and donations from a generous community has kept us going.
Okay. This is going to seem like an odd question, but we have a history of asking straight questions that shock people, but do you have enough money? Do you need more support? What can we do?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as I said earlier, if we could do all this for free, we would. That would be our goal. But we have operating costs to be able to meet, and yeah, definitely we always need to do our fundraisers and our grant applications.
So let's say there's an organization right now, and I'm not going to pick on anybody like the Rotary Kiwanis, Optimist Club, fire auxiliaries, fire departments. I'm not going to mention any of those names, but any kid-oriented, any organization that is interested in supporting this project, they could contact you, they can get out their checkbooks right now and write you a check.
Absolutely.
And it's tax deductible, I'm assuming?
Yep, and they can even go on to our website, and there's a Donate Now button.
Okay.
And one thing that many of the fire departments have done recently, and especially in this area, they have offered to pay for the transportation costs to get the children to the schools. And also area businesses and Rotaries, Kiwanis, they've been very good about donating funds to be able to get the kids to the Safety Village.
Now, I know you've had a couple of local companies that have been pretty big supporters. Could you mention them at all?
Yeah, well, one is Cummins Engine.
Oh, wow.
They've been a huge supporter of the Safety Village, and initially, back in 2009, when we got our grant, our building was built between 2009 and 2010, and once it was built, it was a bricks and mortar grant that we had received, which was awesome, but we had no tables, no chairs for the kids to sit in, and none of the cars.
Wow.
And Cummins actually provided us with $50,000 that we could purchase those materials
Awesome.
with. And they've been a huge
Big hearts
supporter
over
right
there, huh?
along.
Big engines and big hearts.
Correct.
Wonderful. Terri, again, not to push you in a particular direction, but time is fleeting here. Tell us about some of the things that are coming up that people may be interested in knowing about as far as events.
Correct. Well, we have events that we have at different times of the year, and the one that's coming up quickest is our Easter Carnival.
Okay, let's bring that, Jeff, up, and you can keep on talking about it and tell people what's going to happen. You have that poster. Okay, go ahead.
It's going to be the day before Easter. It's Saturday, April 4th, and it's from 10 to 1. And we have children that can come to the Safety Village. They can come in their Easter outfits. We're going to have a Easter parade that is sponsored this year by Andriaccios.
Nice.
And the children go door to door to all the businesses in the
27 different
correct.
establishments. Yeah.
And those businesses, many of them will provide candy for the kids.
Easter eggs. What's the Touch a Truck? What's that all about?
Well, this is new.
Okay.
This is something that we were approached by the Jamestown Community Chamber of Commerce, and they did this last year for the Jammers down at JCC, and they had a lot of success with it.
What is it?
It's well, it's area businesses who bring in their vehicles,
Okay.
so that kids can see them.
Okay.
They can see how they work. They can get in the cement.
Oh my gosh.
Truck and
Oh,
see
how
how
cool.
that works.
Oh.
Or, I know Zaman Matson or Z&M Ag and Turf had brought up some of their tractors and, different.
Okay, so there's more than
Equipment.
so it's a fun day. Okay.
It's a fun day, yeah. And the parents can bring the kids and they can walk around and see all the different vehicles that'll be there.
Will
And
the
then
fire departments bring their bumpers and
Oh, yeah.
whoever? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, great. Okay, so that's coming up April 4th. What else you got going on?
then next, June 13th is a Saturday, and we have what we call our Dash and Bash. And we just started this last year, and we had great success from it. And what it is it's a 1K walk or run, and a 5K or bike around Chautauqua Lake.
Holy moly.
So,
Simple matter.
exactly.
I do the 1K. That's
you did. You did a great job.
I came in second because the guy that was behind me cheated. He ran.
But that's another fundraising event that we
Okay.
have.
And a
we,
fun day.
we had a lot of the riders from Hollyloft that came up and rode with us that day, and so that's a good time.
Randy and Jeff have bikes, and Galen, their brother, or Jeff's brother, so they could come too, right?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
Yep, and it's open for kids and adults. So then the next event that we have is our is definitely a teen and adult event. It's not for children, and this is called our Town of Terror.
I know about that one.
And we spend a lot of time putting that together, and we kind of turn our little village upside down, and it becomes a haunted village. And it's such a unique area that it really just lends itself greatly to being a haunted village.
Okay, we got just seconds left. Folks, you've been watching Chautauqua Sunrise, Terri Kindberg from the Children's Safety... Oh, stop that. That's me.
Oh.
Anyways, if you want to know more information about the Children's Safety Village, Terry's going to tell you how to contact her right now.
Yep, you can feel free to call me anytime at 716-499-8138. Also by email at tkindberg@hotmail.com. You can visit our website, which is childrenssafetyvillage.com. and like us on Facebook.
Awesome. Folks, I want to thank Terri for being our guest today and being here for our 1,000th show. I want to invite everybody back next Saturday, and we'll be having a host of lots of other programs. And in the words of Spock, live long and prosper. Stay tuned and be well. See you next time. I'm Doc Hamels.